true? Almost.
Yeah, just actually look, we have here 3 candles.
We
it means
do.
that we are still in Advent.
We are in Advent season, the season of waiting.
That's right. And journey towards Christmas. That's why this year we had gravel path instead of just regular, lovely, greenish, evergreen wreath.
Yeah.
To remember that, but that's my big theological concern.
What, the Advent Christmas thing?
Advent Christmas, yeah, because Advent is very often sidetracked. That's kind of my feeling about it. It's to a large extent forgotten because people start setting up Christmas trees right after Thanksgiving.
Or before.
Or sometimes even before, yeah. And it's a pity because there is a long tradition of having this period of waiting, preparing, even fasting. In medieval church, there was this tradition of fasting, preparing for Advent, for Christmas.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, I feel like there's like 3 categories of people. There are those who have no idea what Advent is and don't celebrate it because they don't know it. Yeah. There are those who know of Advent and might be familiar a little bit with like the Advent wreath, which is usually green, and it has like purple candles, except one is pink or something like that.
Yes, yeah.
And then there are the folks who may not know what Advent is religiously, some might, some may not, but they know of like the Advent calendars,
yes,
where you can do, I've seen them, my mom has one where we hang up ornaments, I've seen them with chocolate. The one in my office is Lego figures every day.
What do you do with them? Create scenery or?
Yeah, like you open up the little window for each day and there's a picture and there's a little packet of Legos to help you build what's in the picture. And by the end of it, you have sort of this crazy scene. So there's like a snowblower and snowmen and there's airplanes and trains and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of different calendars, and it's interesting because it does actually play off that idea of waiting. It just gives you something to look forward to beyond just Christmas itself. So you're looking forward to getting a piece of chocolate or hanging something up, or I look forward to making Legos. I've seen them that are done with like whiskey, and you get like a shot of whiskey every day. So like it plays off that same idea of waiting. But I think a lot of times we don't necessarily think about the religious aspect of the waiting and why that's important for us, particularly in times like this. It's winter, so it's getting colder, it's getting darker. I think today is the solstice, actually.
Yeah. In just a few hours from now.
Yes. And particularly at a time where a lot of people are having a lot of difficulties politically. Things are complicated. When it comes to like mental health, I know during wintertime people have a lot of issues with that. And so I think Advent's a really good time to take to yourself and realize that we're waiting for something. It's bigger than candy, it's bigger than booze, it's bigger than Legos. But something that's just really hopeful, that there's positivity that can come out of the cold and the darkness.
Yeah, that Advent actually translates from Latin, and it means arrival or coming.
That makes sense.
And usually theologically, it is associated with 2 comings of Christ. One coming in Bethlehem as a baby, and the second coming at the end of times. And this whole exercise in Advent is associated with that. And it is nicely woven with, interwoven with that expectation of more light. I think that circular model of a circle of light in Advent wreath is, for instance, an example. As we are lighting those candles, we are getting closer and closer to solstice, which is about now. And this Sunday we'll have here another candle.
Yes.
And in the evening we'll put the Christ candle in the center. So there'll be a full circle of light there. And so that's a beautiful spiritual and psychological preparation for that. And one way of kind of bringing back the meaning and gravity of Advent is also to look into our music history and church history there, because at least in our hymnal, I think that the oldest hymn around this season is actually a plain song, Gregorian chant, or version of it, O Come Emmanuel. And it's not Christmas hymn or carol. It's
an Advent
hymn. Yeah.
I think people don't realize that that's an Advent hymn. Like, there's an actual section of Advent hymns.
Yes.
And that's got to be one of the most famous, if not the most famous one, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that really, you know, I think that even by bringing a Christmas tree right at the beginning of Advent into your home, you are depriving yourself of preparing for that. It is right there.
Right.
You know, and then you are just waiting for Christmas to come. While if you put there a content, spiritual content, singing Advent hymns and all these other things, then it starts to make sense. And if you take some, say, fasting exercise or practice of foregoing certain foods or whatever, that also is beautifully preparing for Christmas and feasts of Christmas.
I like what you were saying before. As folks can see, our Advent wreath this year is not made of any kind of greenery, but rather of a stone path. And I really like that we are doing this year. I really like the idea of looking at the stories and looking at this time as a journey. And I think when we hear the word waiting, a lot of times we think of just sort of sitting around and twiddling our thumbs and like passively waiting for something to happen to us. And I think that this is a really great reminder that Advent is a time of active waiting. It's a time where you can do things, you can sing songs, you can prepare, you can light your candles, you can do all of these things.
And we journey together.
Exactly.
That's the other. Usually if we are talking about journey, it is usually journey in companions. And so bringing that back and journeying not from a store to a store, but spiritual journey with friends and getting together and mending what happened last year, celebrating good things, and as I said, mending those which did not go well for us or our neighbors. That's an important part of it.
As we are approaching switching from Advent to Christmas, do you have any Czech traditions or anything that you do during the Advent Christmas season?
Generally, we would really wait until, with, for instance, Christmas tree, until what normally would be considered the beginning of Christmas. So it'll be Christmas Eve, 24th of December. That was in my home when my parents and I really dressed the tree for the first time. Preparing cookies, Christmas cookies of all different kind, and sharing them with neighbors is another. I think that that's quite common in America as well. But definitely that Christmas tree which waits on a balcony until 24th.
All right.
Is one of the things. And fasting was definitely part of it, including fasting on 24th still, when the main dish will be fish. And that's, again, from the tradition of fasting, because it was not meat, it was fish. So that's one of the customs
Cool.
which are coming. And what about yours, or any specific African American customs, or?
I don't know if it's necessarily, it's not necessarily a religious custom, but I know when I was, Christmas music is really a big thing with me. It's a really big thing of my growing up. And I remember growing up hearing some of the Black Christmas albums and songs that came out. So we were a family that listened to a lot of like Motown Christmas, Temptations Christmas was really a big deal for us. The Boyz II Men Christmas album from the 90s was really iconic and came out maybe when I was 6 or 7. So like we played that a lot, and I have a lot of childhood memories tied to that. But I will say that of all the different songs that we would play, one of my favorite ones was a version of a Christmas song done by the Temptations called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh yeah, you gave me this. That's great. That's something absolutely. I was puzzled by it. We were talking about it like yesterday, I think, or day before, and I did not know anything about it. I noticed that there were these reindeers and some had the red nose, but I had no idea.
It's a very American story. I'm going to take this off. I can't breathe now. I must say that it has been super great this year going on this video journey with you.
And it's my joy of sharing with you and learning from your American perspective and bringing a little bit of my European background to it, and you can teach me and I can teach you, and that's
Exactly.
marvelous.
Happy Advent, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. Happy holidays.